Among the imperialists, they have a vision of the world that I will explain to you. To them, the world is summarized in a triangle. You will see the triangle in most of their insignia. Perhaps you don't understand, but to them, the world is summarized in a triangle. At the top of the triangle is the empire of good, and the empire of good is them. They are prosperity. They are everything positive. They are entitled to all the happiness in this world. They have the right to all the riches. They impose their worldview, their vision, their way of life. That's why during the conquest, they would come to our lands and say they had discovered our lands, because to them, we were savages and had nothing like them. So, they call us natives, and it's them, the people, who have all the rights. To them, the world must operate as they want. To illustrate, I'll take a few examples. Look at their movies. They have brainwashed their people into believing they're superior and entitled to everything. You won't say otherwise. In all their films that they propagate, you will always find the villains are either Russians, South Americans, or blacks playing the roles of drug dealers, pimps, human traffickers, and recently, Arabs playing the roles of terrorists. This is how they perceive the world. On the economic side, who among us hasn't labeled Chinese products as cheap goods? But today, I can tell you that we were all wrong because China has advanced technology, and it's in China that most of these countries source their goods, put their brand on them, and sell them to us as their own. Look around. Entrepreneurs in construction won't deny that all their equipment today is Chinese. Those in transportation won't deny it either. They lied to us. We traveled the world in the past 20 months looking for companies and factories, and we realized everything leads back to China. Yet through their propaganda, they made us hate all Chinese products, making us believe that only their products were good. To better understand what I'm saying, it's simple. To better understand what I will say, we need to go back a little in time. You need to go back in time and read about the Tsars, Mongol conquests, Persian, Turkish and Ottoman empires. Read their history and you will understand why the world is the way it is. At the base of the triangle, there are two empires. On one side, the empire of evil, and on the other, the empire of slaves. This is how they see the world. Who do they call the empire of evil? Those I just mentioned. Go back in time, read, and you will understand why they see them as the empire of evil. They believe they must fight and eradicate the empire of evil because it embodies the devil. They communicate this and make their people understand it that way. This is why after World War II, in the 1980s, I will take the case of Russia. All schemes were implemented to collapse it under President Gorbachev, orchestrated by President Ronald Reagan. Three main strategies caught our attention. First, they went to Saudi Arabia and asked them to lower the oil price from $35 to $7 to collapse the Russian economy. Alongside that, remember something. The second strategy, they armed the Taliban, who were received by President Ronald Reagan at the White House with CIA-supplied Stinger surface-to-air missiles to fight the Russians. Later, they pretended to fight the Taliban themselves. Go figure. The third strategy was a bluff, the Star Wars project, which led Gorbachev to create the Paulus project, sinking Russia further. Once Russia collapsed, those who claimed to be the empire of good began to gloat until Vladimir Putin's team came to revive Russia. The empire of evil, according to them, has suffered greatly.
Regardez l'Iran aujourd'hui.
Look at Iran today,
Toutes les sanctions
facing all possible sanctions.
Regardez comment ils
Look at how they
qualifient
describe
certains
certain
peuples.
people.
Par la communication, ils peuvent arriver à
Through
vous
communication,
amener à faire
they can manage to make you
détester
hate a
un peuple
people or love a
ou à aimer
people.
une personne.
They are very strong in
Ils passent par tous
communication
les canaux
and
possibles.
use all possible channels.
Regardez la guerre,
Look at the wars that are raging.
tout invente
They
propre
create them for their own interest.
intérêt. Et enfin,
Finally,
l'empire des esclaves.
according to them,
Selon eux,
the
c'est
empire
l'Afrique
of
et
slaves
certains
is
peuples d'Amérique
Africa
du
and
Sud.
some South American peoples.
Dans leur tête, comme je
In their
disais
minds,
dernièrement,
as I mentioned
l'Afrique les
earlier,
appartient.
Africa
Nos terres les
belongs to them.
appartiennent. Les richesses
Our
de l'Afrique
lands, our
sont
riches
pour eux.
belong to
Et ils
them.
ne peuvent pas concevoir que des Africains
And they can't conceive that Africans could emancipate,
sortir la tête de l'eau et vouloir
rise
leur
and
mettre
challenge
leur
them.
tête. Et pour cela,
And for this reason,
ils se sont mis un clic.
they believe
L'Africain
Africans
est
are
facile
easy
à
to
manipuler,
manipulate and
il
driven
met
by
des émotions.
emotions.
Ils trouveront toujours un Africain
They will always
pour
find an
lutter
African
contre
to fight
son
against
frère.
his brother.
Et ça a toujours été comme ça.
And it has always been like that.
Par la communication, ils vous ont amené à
Unfortunately,
détester votre
through
propre
their
couleur de peau.
communication, they made us hate
Dans
our
nos
own
cultures
skin color.
Et dans beaucoup de cultures au Burkina Faso ici,
In many cultures, including in Burkina Faso, mourning was symbolized by the color blue.
lorsqu'une femme perd, portait donc des
When a
tenues de
woman
couleur
lost her
bleue pour
husband,
faire son deuil
she wore
pendant
blue
un temps.
clothes for a period.
Ce sont eux qui sont venus vous dire que
They
le
came
noir
and told us
symbolise
that
le
black
deuil,
symbolizes
le diable,
mourning,
la médiocrité est
the
mauvaise.
devil, mediocrity,
Et
everything bad.
malheureusement, nous avons tellement avalé ça que
Unfortunately,
lorsque nous
we
sommes en
swallowed
deuil,
this so
nous
much
mettons
that we
également
wear
un masque.
black when mourning.
Il faut que nous nous réveillons. Il faut que nous nous réveillons parce que voilà le cliché
We
qu'ils
need to
ont en
wake up
tête.
because this is how they see the world.
Eux, ils sont l'empire de-
They
d'autres
are
sont
the
l'empire
empire
du
of
mal.
good,
Et
others
nous,
are the
nous sommes
empire of
l'empire
evil,
des esclaves.
and we are the empire of slaves.
Voilà comment l'impérialiste
This
voit
is
le
the
monde.
imperialist
Il faut
worldview.
que vous-
You need to
Et
understand this.
là, je m'en vais faire un coup de gueule à l'endroit donc de certains intellectuels qui
I want to
continuent.
make a point to some intellectuals who seem to want to preach for the imperialists.
Est-ce qu'ils ignorent cette partie de
Do
l'histoire?
they ignore
Je
this part of
n'invente rien.
history?
Ça a été déclassifié, vous trouverez tout ce que j'ai
I'm not
dit
making this up.
dans
It's
les bibliothèques
declassified.
ou
You can find everything I said in libraries or online.
Ces intellectuels n'ont-ils pas lu cela? Ne
Don't these
connaissent-ils pas
intellectuals
l'histoire
know
de
the
ce monde?
history of this world?
C'est peut-être par malhonnêteté ou quelques billets
Maybe
de
it's
dollars qui les
dishonesty.
amènent à toujours prêcher.
Or a few dollars that make them preach for the
Il
imperialists?
faut que nos intellectuels arrivent à tout moment à prêcher.
Our
pour
intellectuals must
conscientiser nos
always
peuples,
preach
nos
to
masses
enlighten
populaires,
our people,
pour qu'ils
our
comprennent
masses,
d'où ils viennent et
so they
comment ils
understand
sont
where
vus,
they come
les
from
impérialistes.
and how the imperialists see them.
Prenons l'histoire
Let's
de
take the
quelques
example of some wars.
guerres. Vous avez suivi la guerre d'Irak.
You
Un
followed the
gros
Iraq
mensonge qui
War,
a été inventé.
a big
C'est un
lie
de
about
destruction
weapons
massive.
of mass destruction.
Certains sénateurs au niveau des États-Unis ont
Some
tout
US
fait pour
senators
avoir les
did
preuves.
everything to get
Ils
proof
ne
but
l'ont pas
couldn't.
eu. Souvenez-vous que plusieurs personnes démissionnaient de la
Remember,
CIA après cette
several
guerre.
people resigned from
Des
the
preuves ont été
CIA after this
inventées de
war.
toutes parts. Les services secrets
Evidence was
occidentaux
fabricated
les ont
with the
aidés
help of
à
Western
fabriquer
secret
des preuves.
services.
Et on se souvient que le même Niger a été accusé en montant un faux
We remember
une
that
fausse
Niger
convention,
was
un faux
accused at the
contrat
time
de
of selling
vente
uranium to Iraq.
à l'Irak. C'est le même processus
And the
qu'ils ont
same
voulu
scenario
amener la
played
dernière
out
fois pour
recently
soi-disant que les Nigériens
with
ont
accusations of clandestinely selling uranium to Iran.
C'est du déjà vu.
This is déjà vu.
Ils ont prétexté
They made
cela,
this claim,
ils n'ont pas eu
but
de
found
preuves.
no proof.
Même les Nations Unies trouvaient finalement qu'il
Even
n'y
the
avait pas de
United
preuves
Nations
tangibles
eventually
de
found
présence
no
d'armes
tangible
de destruction
evidence of weapons of
massive.
mass
Et ils avaient leur
destruction.
objectif, détruire l'Irak.
Their
Ils ont
objective was to
détruit l'Irak.
destroy Iraq,
Ils ont créé l'État islamique. Tout comme
create
ils
the
ont créé
Islamic
les
State
talibans
just
dans
like
les
they
années
created the
80.
Taliban
Les
state in the
armés, les
1980s,
équipés.
armed
Et
them,
après, ils prétendent
and later
venir
pretended
les
to fight
combattre.
them.
Comprenez le jeu.
Understand the game.
Ça n'a que trop duré.
This game
Il
has
faut
gone
qu'on
on
se
too
réveille
long.
et que nous
We need to
prenions
wake up,
conscience de notre
understand,
situation,
and
battre
fight
notre
for our
avenir.
future.
Toutes ces guerres ont été inventées,
All these wars,
passant par l'Irak, la
Iraq,
Syrie, la
Syria,
Libye,
Libya,
dans le
were
but de
fabricated to destabilize the
à
world
leur
for their
profit,
benefit,
parce que nul ne doit
ensuring that
pouvoir
no
les
one could
égaler.
ever match them.
C'est ce que nous vivons aujourd'hui dans le Sahel aussi
Today,
à travers le
we see the
terrorisme
same in the Sahel
qu'ils nous
with
ont
terrorism
imposé.
imposed on us,
Parce que ils trouveront toujours des Noirs qui vont
because they will
s'exciter
always find
et
blacks who
qui
will
vont
get
prendre les
excited
armes
and take
contre
up
leurs
arms
frères
against
noirs.
their black
C'est ce que nous
brothers.
vivons.
This is what we
Ils
are
n'ont
living.
jamais quitté ce modèle.
They have never
Malheureusement,
left
beaucoup
this
de gens
model,
leur donnent.
and
À cause de quelques
unfortunately,
billets de dollars,
many people agree
ils
with
se
them for a
vendent
few
très moins
dollars.
cher à
They sell
l'ennemi,
themselves
à
cheaply to the
l'impérialisme.
enemy, to the
Et
imperialists,
ils se
and
mettent à
fight
combattre
against their
leurs frères.
brothers.